Mm.
Hi, Kayvon.
Hi, Kate. Hello. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Made it in time.
Yeah.
Right.
We're just gonna give a couple of minutes for anyone who might want to join them. We start. Okay. Good evening, morning, night, whatever it is, and wherever you are. So happy to have the AMA for month of June 2023. We have some updates, some questions were asked, some questions can be asked here, and generally that's what we do in these AMA sessions, providing an update on the state of things and answering any questions. So please feel free to ask them in the chat if you want to come on camera and start. That's also very cool. So yeah. How's everyone doing? How are you, Kate?
Good. It's busy here. It's collision in Toronto, so it feels like the whole world is descended upon the city. Lots of action happening on campus at Toronto Metropolitan University as well. So I know Irfan's got to go. He could speak to these events, but yeah, Web3 TO last night with like Landon and the crew, and I had a chance to go to events at BLG, which is a law firm here in Toronto, and the Minister of like Economic Development and Innovation was there, so we were an invited guest as Functionlanders. So that was really great to be a part of that event and meet the VCs and then GPs actually, so out of the US and Texas. Yeah, and then tonight, I'm very excited, is the Near Foundation near Toronto communities emerging, and we're going to do a big boat cruise. So it's like going to be one of the big collision after parties that everyone's trying to get into. So that's really exciting. And yeah, really excited to meet the Near Foundation people that live here. So lots on the go. Yeah, what's going on in your world, Kayvon?
My world or my cave, I will share more about that in a minute. In the meantime, Irfan, hello. Where are you at?
Hey, how are you doing? I'm here in Toronto. So last night I got invited to Web3 Toronto. It was one of the side events of the Collision So yeah, I went there. I met some people. I got invited to tonight's collision after party as well, the one that Kate's going, the boat party, and I got invited to another event that starts in like 2 hours. That's Hong Kong investors kind of meetup event. Probably I'm gonna go. And yeah, that's about me.
Perfection. Cool. Okay, so I guess I'll jump a bit into stuff that's going on with me. So what do I have here? Yay, I have this. This is the board that's inside Lite Plus. So these are the two pre-production boards that I have. One is
They may get started if you wanted to get on. Yeah.
hi, wait.
Wait, spreading the word. I love it.
Yes, perfect. So yeah. So the progress on Lite Plus is as we touched on briefly yesterday in the group, is that everything's on track. We've just had this slight impediment of PCB manufacturer giving us some delays because the initial company that we worked with. Hi, Vito. Okay. Yeah. So what's happening this time around with the Lite Plus manufacturing is we now have our own SoC design. So I have both the boards here and you can compare them, right? So on my right hand here is the normal Lite with Raspberry Pi, as you can see, the Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4 on it. My left hand is the new Lite Plus board with Rock Chip SoC. So this makes these two very different processes because this one, all the hard things have been handled in this small board that's produced by Raspberry Pi, right? So they have the fabrication side themselves. They make these. They have the 3-mill process that is needed for handling production of such complicated boards, and we just reuse it, right? So this CM4 module on top of this board is connected to the backboard with a normal IO. Then this other board, this carrier board that we've made for normal Lite is, although it's a very interesting engineering feat, it's not complicated. It's not a sophisticated design. Whereas enter Lite Plus, it's things that companies like Asus and Gigabyte, the motherboard makers, or any cell phone manufacturer has to deal with, that now we also had to deal with, which is because, as you can see, these boards, they don't have any pins around them. So there are these small dots behind them that are called FPGA footprints. So these are very, very small dots that transmit the signals of the SoC. And we have very small pathways between them that we need to route them and then start like getting it all the way to USB-C to the M2 connector and the rest. So that was a really unwanted, to be honest. When we started Functionland, we weren't aspiring to do stuff that Gigabytes and Asuses of the world take on. We are a protocol company, mostly. The hardware is a necessity that we want to have for unlocking this new vision of sovereign storage network. But we were hoping not to tip our toes into hardware that much. When we were happy with like a carrier board for Raspberry Pi and leaving the hardware to Raspberry Pi. But then, unfortunately, we had a bit of a rug pull from Raspberry Pi when they didn't commence with their commitment to supply us the Raspberry Pi boards. There were 3 projects simultaneously on different crowdfunding campaigns, on different crowdfunding platforms when we had it, our FX Blocks crowdfunding campaign. So there was us, Functionland. There was also CubeSale with their Pi box. So they made this gadget, which is like again, this is Raspberry Pi's compute module powered, and they have another their own subscription model for working with it, but they have a hardware. And there was also another crowdfunding campaign by the name of Turing Pi. So Turing Pi people also created this server-side Raspberry Pi cluster board, which was dependent on the Raspberry Pi. And we are in touch with each other, the 3 projects. We check in on each other, and we say how we check on how each of us are doing. And we are all on the same boat. So no Raspberry Pis from Raspberry Pi Foundation. Albeit Raspberry Pi Foundation makes some 400,000 Raspberry Pis every month. That's their current supply. Somehow these find themselves in the gray market and not the projects that were crowdfunded or like early stage projects. So Turing Pi actually also recently did what we just did. So they changed to RK3588 SoC. They have a new design. But I believe we are the fastest to the market because the Turing Pi have just been announced. The sales are not open. I know that they have a prototype, but they are not production ready. Whereas we are currently building, and with the slight delay even, we're gonna start shipping by, I said in the group, the week of July 24th. So that was a bit of a rant about why, how, when, those stuff. Any questions up until here? Guys, you can type your questions in the chat, or you can unmute your microphone and start asking if you want.
Hey, Vaughn, can you just restate the significance of July 24th? So what's happening on July 24th?
Sure. So our schedule was to be start shipping like this week. This past week, we were on track to start shipping, but due to the PCB manufacturer dropping us and we having to find another candidate, that's pushed our schedule a bit to the week of July 24th. That's the time that we expect shipping starts. So that's when assembly, everything so boxes are in their packages. So that's the timeline where Lite Pluses are in this package and are ready to be shipped and transferred to the warehouse to be sent out. Okay. If another delay, another promise. Highway, hello. Yes, that is the case. So what happened, as I told you, there are things that we control and there are things that we don't control. So the PCB manufacturer dropping us was an unknown factor. And you're absolutely right. On our part, we gave a promise on, and we've been trying to be really optimistic with our timelines, and that has also imposed on us being working 24/7 to make those times. But at the same time, I understand the frustration of giving a date and then having to miss it by 20 days. So yes, I do accept and apologize for the short delay, but that's just us not giving us like double the time that we actually need in our estimation. So would have we stated Q3 2024, that would have been ahead of them. And I think we should also communicate with the community and decide these together. So we should state the facts. This is the new process that we're undertaking. This is the best of our knowledge, what it will take. So end of Q3 is when it will be ready, but there are unknown factors. We are entering this new process. So I think with those, we can go either way. We can give better estimates, like we can, as people say, under promise, over deliver, or continue the way we're doing, which is give you the best thing that we do understand, and then try to keep with it. So all India algorithm will be shipped by end of July. That's the direction that we're heading. Yes. So this batch that's currently being produced is 1,000 units, and that's enough to support all Indiegogo campaigns, and also gives us about 200 units excess inventory for the retail batch, for the first ever retail batch of FX blocks outside the Indiegogo backers. Perfect. Any more questions? I do have like a set of agenda and some pent up discussions from the group that I want to touch on, but I want to make sure first we have address everything on the first part. Cool. So what I'll do is, there's another. The multiple delays and past promises, will there be any token compensation for those who waited? Great question. Yes, that's the plan. Wait. So exactly the plan is to have a token compensation for people who waited. And we are, again, not giving concrete dates or numbers, again, in the fear of not being able to meet them, but the general idea of it is definitely in the plans, and we have it allocated and everything. Especially for also XL backers who won't be receiving their XL this year. Again, the reason that we are facing these are inevitable direction that's Raspberry Pi Foundation forced our hands into. So had we received their Raspberry Pi batch on February, we wouldn't have been pursuing the Lite Plus with our own SAC, and that time from February till now would have been spent on XL, whereas we haven't touched XL this year at all. So our design from last year, which wasn't feasible, is still where it is. So since we haven't touched the XL manufacturing from that time, we definitely, our current estimate is that XL will be ready by end of Q1 next year. So we also will have token compensation for XL backers. We will have a plan. So there will be compensation, and when XL is ready, they can opt in to receive the XL or receive the compensation. So again, we will like in the group communicate with the community and get a green light from community before executing. Yeah, so a question from Kate. On the blockchain side, where should we focus next, essentially, on the different layer ones and layer twos?
But yeah, just for some more background, obviously we have this partnerships team and doing business development, and we're always working with our teams. And so we're actually working on a framework that will actually be AI enabled to help us really keep track of these partnerships and understand which ones we really should be prioritizing in time. So we're multi-chain, there's cross-chain mechanisms coming on board, and who do we want to be talking to, being able to interact with. So we want to also be able to talk to these companies and create these letters of intent or letters of expression or expressions of intent to use our decentralized backend as it's coming on board. So as these nodes are turning on, we want to turn around to these Web3 companies like Huddle 101 that does video conferencing, or some of these Web 2.5, even storage companies, and say, hey, our decentralized backend is ready. Would you, or when it's ready, would you like to be a part of that? So we're initiating some of those conversations. So they are the dApps, such as I mentioned, Huddle 101. And then we're also building tools with teams like Fission here in Canada. So they've been very excited about the work we've all been able to actually push forward in terms of React Native and everything like that. And then with these layer twos, you know, there's lots of activity happening with Optimism and Arbitrum, but also even the Near Foundation, like I mentioned, is really putting some inroads into Toronto and the ecosystem here. And lots of the teams that we hang out with here in Toronto and that we're talking to all the time about tokenomics, they're really interested in the Near Foundation as well. So we don't want to dilute ourselves with who we're talking with on the layer twos. We need to nurture our existing layer twos, but curious, you know, from the community, which ones are you liking on the fundamental side? Which ones are building things and tools that you're really interested in? So keep those ideas flowing to us. It's myself, Al, and Ram on the partnerships team, and then we work very closely with obviously the dev and technical teams, and then also, yeah, with marketing. So thanks, Kayvon, just putting my question out there.
Sure. I mean, on Functionland side, people who were on the first batch have experienced something that other people who are node operators for other blockchain projects haven't experienced before. And that is to operate a node with a mobile app, right? So when you go to different projects' websites and you click on, hey, I want to operate a node for you, then you have this quick start, normally this quick start tutorials on the steps. And normally the first step is go create a virtual machine on AWS or Google or somewhere, and then enter these commands into it or connect these things to it, right? So everything Web3 currently starts with Web2. So you go to Web2 AWS and you spawn a node, and you start entering commands in a node in the cloud. So what's been changed with Functionland is that node that you open is not somewhere in the data center of some big tech company. You actually holding it, and the way we are setting the boundary of expectation for node operators is through an app, as easy as working with a mobile app. And this is what our offer is to this new layer 2's Kate. So we have two ways of partnerships with all these protocols. Well, one is we are a hardware infrastructure community. So we have these devices. These devices already have this storage nodes operating on them. But since we have the hardware at hand, we are truly decentralized. So we are not some nodes in a data center. We are nodes at homes. Then come join us and bring your nodes to our homes instead of data centers. That's one venue. The other venue is all these protocols don't have a viable B2C storage play. So there are projects focused on storage on B2B side. So Filecoin, our partner protocol from Protocol Labs, is such protocol. So they're focused on, hey, we have archival cold data for cold storage for enterprise users. But nobody's touching still the end user data side. So still, if you are like on the end user data side, many protocols are still storing those and things like AWS and stuff. So the other partnership venue for us is, hey, decentralized storage in the hands of people with hardware. Do you want to join? And we are open. So I'm very excited about the names you have there. Near, Optimism, Arbitrum. Near, very innovative on the layer 1. Arbitrum, very innovative on the layer 2. And I mean, as soon as we hear back from them, we are game.
Great. Yeah, that's a really great contribution to the partnerships discussion, Kayvon.
Thanks.
So I don't know where you are in your agenda. I do want to talk about Futurist 23, the ETH Toronto and the ETH Women Hackathon at some point in time, but when it fits into your agenda, that does not need to be now.
Sure. No, I mean, my agenda is flexible. If you want to spend like a couple of minutes on it, then go for it. In the meantime, I will set up some cool stuff because I want to show you my desk, which is very messy, and I'm sorry in advance.
Okay, you clear up your baby bottles for your baby and everything and get set up. Yeah, so as you guys know, Futurist 23 is coming up in the middle of August. So we were a big participant last year in 2022. There's also the ETH Toronto Hackathon happening, the ETH Women Hackathon. So we hope to be putting in hybrid teams with Functionland community members as well as university and college students in the local area. So if you're a community member, you can participate hybrid and it's in real life, like in person as well. And it kicks off July 1st. It's coming up really soon. So if you're wanting to build something in regenerative finance, DeFi, something related to Ethereum or even not, come on out, put a project together. We can help put a team around you and you can use some of the software like protocols and things like that, or the tooling from Functionland, or we can help you find other tools like from Algorand's toolset and things like that. So if you're wanting to participate, let us know. And last time JJ sent a friend up, and we've got to see JJ down in Austin recently. So yeah, send your friends. We'd love to see ambassadors out at the event. Ooh, and I have a baby approaching.
Cool. So there's this new guy joining the meeting by the name of Kayvon Desk. Anyone can see that? That's my hand, if you can see it. Okay. Sorry for the mess here. Okay, so I wanted to show you some action. And I thought it might serve better if I use this camera. So this is the new board, the Lite Plus board. And I wanted to show you the interfaces here. So we have one M2 for storage. And the way it works is you just plug in a normal M2 storage into the slots and then screw here. And also our Wi-Fi module is again another M2 slot up here. You just click it in. Now you have M2 and Wi-Fi. This new modular design enables us to tap into the more traditional laptop ecosystem, as opposed to the traditional the convention, the way we were going before, which is to use only framework expansion cards. So these are things that you can buy on Amazon for cheap, and they will be compatible with the new design. So this is actually, I think, the smallest form factor of a species that supports the RK3588 SoC. In an upcoming design, we might fit another M2 here, a slot here, but that's the current state of things on the current board. Another thing I wanted to show you, so you will receive this board not like this. You will receive it packaged up in this shell and nice and everything. But I wanted to show you bare bones like how tinkerers might want to do it. So we have a serial port here, and we have the board. Also, I wanted to show you this charger that I found on Amazon. Let me share my screen real quick. Screen 2. You guys see my screen? Okay, so do you see the Amazon website, Kate?
Yes, I do, Kayvon.
Perfect. So I just wanted to show you that people who were asking about the charger, you don't need to look for like very expensive high wattage chargers. The only requirement for the charger is for it to support USB-C. As you can see, this listing on Amazon is 25 watts. It's not 30 watts, 60 watts, 100 watts. Some of the things that I saw people were getting on the group I saw people were getting from Amazon. The only important thing is that it has USB-C on both ends, and then on the charger itself, it shows that it supports either 9 volts or 12 volts. If that's the case, then you're all good. So this $9 charger works as good as a $100 charger for our device. So the way see with the demo, and I'm sorry in advance if anything goes not according to the plan. So I wanted to show you some real action. Okay. Okay. And this is the board, and this is the serial port. So it is like a terminal. And you see my screen with the COM3, right?
We see the screen come through, but it's black at the moment. Ah, yes.
Now it has some text on it.
Yep.
So this is booting, right? And this, you're witnessing the Lite Plus booting up. Another challenge that we had to do this time around, which wasn't in our mission statement, is to create an ambient distribution of Linux from scratch. Because, and this is what's been ongoing. And this is what's taken up time for the device to be ready. So here you see FX Blocks RK1, and you see it has 7.5 gigabytes of RAM. I can also show you Edge Top. There you go. So memory, it has 8 cores and everything's good. So this is, as we discussed before, desktop level computing resource. This is much more capable than Raspberry Pi. Not that Spooler protocol needs it, but it's available. So this is something that you can boot a whole desktop on it, as well as running the Fulak protocol. And while on that subject, again, bear with me with any demo syndrome that might happen here, but I wanted to show you something interesting. I wanted to connect it to my monitor. So as you know, Framework has the storage expansion cards, but also has this HDMI and DisplayPort expansion cards for video, right? So we have to connect the HDMI here, and then I need to steal my mouse from my computer and then connect it maybe to the bottom slot. And then hop on the labels. And then, okay. I think I need to stop share screen. Or it will share when I unplug the monitor. Sorry guys, this will take only a while. Yeah, I got some demo syndrome here. But the point is, if you connect your HDMI to your monitor, for some reason it's not working currently for me, you can see a full ambient desktop. Right.
Is your monitor even on?
Yeah. It's that my cables are bad, some of them. As you can see, there's a mess of different things. Yeah. So I'll take a picture of this after the meeting when it's working. Ah, there you go. Do you see my monitor? Ah, that's perfect. I really was excited to show you that. So this is my keyboard and mouse are now connected to Lite Plus. And if I type GG here, we go to Ambient with a GUI and everything. So here's a terminal, a mouse, keyboard, and monitor with the Lite Plus. So effectively, the device acts as a computer case now for me and is a very capable computer. It has file manager, everything, and everything works. And we also been working on providing updates. So the experience that we had from normal Lite was some of the devices sometimes needed an update, and working with terminal and like from Windows and remote connections were hard. This time around, if you have like an HDMI expansion card, you can connect it directly to a monitor, or you can connect a USB to it, which will update it without any of the hassles of the previous time. So we're learning from the past tries and as well. So I was really excited to show you this. That yes, again, we get an edge top here, and you can see UI, which is cool. Again, I'm not sure if this is as exciting to everyone as it is exciting to me. I'm a nerd, but like if you guys played around with SVCs before, this is an exciting one. So yeah.
It's very exciting. So nice to see it live in action. I thought, yeah, demo syndrome Murphy's Law would catch you out, but worked perfectly. It's so exciting.
Okay, so that was one of my agenda items done to successfully demo. Okay. What else do we have? Do we have any questions in the chat, in the group? I have some questions from before on the group. Okay, so I talked about the interfaces. I also have some notes here. I also need to talk about the types of storage that it supports. So it supports SATA or SATA SSDs. So the one that I currently have on here is this SATA SSD. This will be also the one that ships with the devices. It's 1 terabyte of SATA SSD. So this is the 1 terabyte for people who bought the XL. They will receive it with 1 terabyte of SATA SSD. And people who got Lite without the XL perk on Indiegogo will receive the board, and they can just open it and install a SATA SSD, or they can insert a framework expansion card. So it increases the storage interfaces, doesn't limit it. It also supports NVMe storage. So NVMe is this higher speed tier of the storage, not necessarily as I discussed in the group chat for our use case in the flow protocol, but if you imagine yourself booting another node on your device, that might come handy due to requirements of this other node from this other protocol that you're playing with. I also tried this crazy looking Gen 4 NVMEs with this is like a 4 terabyte silicon power. Unfortunately, these come with like a big heatsink, and when you insert them, they are not standard, so it won't go all the way down. So unfortunately, the ones that have this heatsink on don't get them. But normal Gen 4 SSDs should work. And yeah, that's about the different interfaces that you can connect it. One other agenda item. Okay. Again, I talked about charger. Okay, I have 4 more agenda items, and then I'm all done. Is it a Gen 3 or Gen 4? So the interface on the RK SoC is Gen 3. But if you insert a Gen 4 NVMe, it will also work with it because PCIe is backward compatible. So Gen 3 by 4 is the interface on the RK SoC. Great question, Perry. Okay. No worries. One hot topic that was brought up in the last comprehensive update that we had was why the mainnet launch is delayed to next year, Q1. The specific text in the group was, do you guys have a crystal ball and know that markets are going to be more favorable next year, that you want to launch it then and not now? And that's both justified, and we don't have a crystal ball, obviously, but it's crystal clear that right now altcoins are bleeding, and it's not a good market for it. It's sabotage if we go out now. That's crystal clear. So we're hoping that next year Q1 won't be such a bad environment for altcoins. We definitely will be. So if everything works and we have the perfect storage network and the great community, and then for no reason other than markets being savage, our coin dumps, then we are killing our baby that we've protected so far. So that's just not wise. So we won't be doing it. We'll wait it out.
I'm Kayvon. Well, I just
Yeah.
want to say, you're watching the markets today, and not to mention the markets, but you know, it's interesting to watch these altcoin things happening. But I wanted to mention, with our incentivized testnet and the way the tokenization works for that, we are de-risking ourselves. So rather than saying, okay, we have to go and launch that token on such and such date and be at the mercy of the markets, we have specific mechanisms in that those people that participate in incentivized testnet, who earn token, that is reflected, that is respected. So it gives us the power to launch at the right time. So we have Irfan, watching the retail investment side, the actual markets themselves, the crypto degens, like the environment, the vibe. So it just really puts the power back in our hands, and I want to know that we are fully aware of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. So, and we work with the community to find all those ways to do this, right? Again, we don't have the crystal ball, but it's crystal clear that we will be killing our baby if we send it to the jungle that is currently out there. So we just need to wait it out. And as Kate said, we have mechanisms in place for remedying the wait. And we are open to suggestions from the community as well. That was one of the questions I got from the group. If no other questions, next item on the agenda. So there's some updates by Ehsan. Ehsan is currently pitching in an event in Toronto, so I will be taking his place. So Ehsan's update is that the bugs in the FX Blocks app have been resolved, most of them, and none of the problems were hardware related. And we just resolved most of them with the updates, and we need to provide better documentation for the initial setup for anyone who might have not yet booted it from like zero state. But I guess Ehsan is in touch with everyone who's received their normal Lite on batch 1 already, and everyone has got it up and running. And his second update is that he's working on connecting FX Blocks to FX Photos. So next milestone is FX Photos will be functional, which is long time coming, but amazing milestone. So this is where the utility. So I think there was this message from CryptoFan on the group that said, I'm hesitating to recommend this project to my friends because it's not ready. So this is one of the milestones that that progresses it toward readiness, the actual utility. I actually yesterday received an email from Google saying your storage is up. I thought I had another year, but my Google photo storage is up. So I also am impatiently waiting for FX Photos to start because I don't want to start paying Google. I also sent an article on the group by Apple. Apple recently increased 25% their iCloud tiers, which is a ripoff. We will be taking them down. Speaking of Apple, anyone saw the Vision Pro announcement? The VR glass by Apple, the VR smart glass. So that's huge for Functionland, specifically because Vision Pro records 3D videos, and 3D 4K videos are gonna be, I don't know, a terabyte a minute. So Google and Apple storage for those will not be viable at all, and we will be the storage that is available and ready on time when people start having a 1 terabyte 30-second video. So that's exciting. Is there software we can load on a Windows PC prior to receiving the device to participate on blockchain? Wait, on Windows, no, because our packages are on Linux. So if you are open to doing some sysadmin work to set up a node, absolutely, everything is open source. The stuff that's running on people's devices, people who already have the normal Lite devices, is all open source, and you can install it on any Linux. So yeah, just get in touch with Ehsan or someone on the group, and yeah. Where can people get the instructions for that? Yes. I'm sorry. This is one of the areas that, because we've dug our heads so deep into stuff that I was showing you in my desk, we are neglecting a bit. We don't have like a comprehensive data, like README that like takes us from zero to hero. We should make that. We should set aside that. But the READMEs on separate repositories on Functionland GitHub are complete. So it's just a matter of connecting the dots. So as soon as you go to GitHub/Functionland, you will start with the pinned repositories, and the first one that you open, you can find the net and traverse it. Would it work on a Linux virtual machine? Absolutely. Wait, yes, it works on a Linux virtual machine. It's actually a good segue for me now that you brought up running things. To share other thing that I wanted to show you and talk about a bit. Share screen 1. Do you see my screen? So I talked about, we have another variant of Lite Plus, which has 32 gigabytes. And we have like 100 devices of this variant being made in this current batch for the retail batch. And the reason is that we are musing about collaborating with these guys. So these guys on GitHub are called ETH educators. They have a repository called ETH Docker. And this is essentially on-premise Ethereum staking. So it says if you have your own machine, then you don't need to stake your Ethereum with Coinbase and Binance and other rubbers in the world. So you can self-host your node and start staking your own Ethereum and participate in Ethereum staking. The reason that we had made 32 gigabytes of RAM for this Lite Plus is exactly, if you go to like official documentation here, recommended hardware, 32 gigabytes of RAM, 60 gigabyte could work, but probably won't. 4 CPU cores. I already showed you in the htop command, we already have 8 and 2 terabytes of SSD. And for the 32 gigabyte variant, we will also put 2 terabytes of storage. So essentially, this 100 devices that come out in this batch with the 32 gigabytes of RAM are ripe for a collaboration between us and this team. And this was what I was talking about. When you go to the documentation of these websites, right? What you see is next step, yes, install some stuff and go work with command line, right? That works for us nerds, but it doesn't work for the mainstream, right? So the point of collaboration with these guys is to create another mobile app where all this processes of running the node happens behind the scene, like not behind the scenes, it's all open source and you can see it, but it's abstracted with a mobile UI. So as soon as we receive the first batch, we're gonna initiate these talks with these guys. Ethereum staking, Ethereum is the big guy. If we get some Ethereum nodes up and running, then in the next bull run, where DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure, is probably gonna be, then we're gonna be a very established player as a community. We already have like 1,000 people with the devices, and nobody else has that many decentralized nodes. Well, I mean, Helium has, but turned out Helium is not so great, right? Okay, Rocket Pool. Yes, Rocket Pool is amazing. Rocket Pool is a protocol that for each staking, you need to have 32 Ethereums. And 32 Ethereums once were not that expensive, but now they are like a down payment. What Rocket Pool enables is to participate in pools with less Ethereum than 35. So you can have 16 pools of people with 2 Ethereums, and that constitutes a pool of 32 Ethereums. It's amazing. Rocket Pool is also on our radar. These people who are in ETH Docker, they're also in the Rocket Pool community. So if we make that connection, then Rocket Pool is automatically a bonus. Yeah. Amazingly, I touched on all the agenda items that I have. Any further questions? We are also near the top of the hour or more. No. So we will definitely conclude before 4 EST, but any updates on NFT public sale? A smile cake. Any update on the NFT public sale? Yes, the public sale. So the 500 that was airdropped already, the community members have it. We also are like a click of a button with like away from releasing the remaining 500. That would be the public sale. We are hesitating on it a bit because our plan with NFT was utility from day one, right? You see that's like top NFT plays that have survived the bear market, or actually most of them are like about mining. And we had this vision of like mining related NFTs. We were among the first projects that had this vision. The reason that we're hesitating on the public sale of the remaining and final 500 NFTs is because we don't have everything ready and we have too much in our plate. So like XL NFTs will see some love next year, but this year, probably not. Deeper networking talks. Deeper network, deeper connect, the DVPN, right? We even bought their device from the crowdfunding campaign, and we work with it a bit. It's an interesting project on the technical side. On the execution side, we have our doubts because for some reason, and we haven't dug into details of it, but for some reason, there is some connotations with it about being rugged and being a scam that we haven't investigated. We haven't had the time to investigate it further. So we had experience with their device, but that's the extent of things. If Diego, if you know someone specifically in Deeper Network that you can connect us to, we would be happy to jump on a meeting and discuss with them. But full disclosure, from the community, we've heard some shouts of scam and rug pull and stuff. We need to DYORs before, do your own research before doing it. I'm so bad at doing acronyms. Any additional partnerships for potential towers that can be tested? And no. So what's happened was we had on the crowdfunding, during the crowdfunding, we got some big eyeballs. So right now that nothing's happening, I probably can get away with dropping some names, but I don't know, the prominent computer makers, the logos that you see on most laptops in business offices, those people, we had like meetings with their with the office of the CTOs there, with the prominent GPU maker that has the stock market price flying currently. We had a meeting, and with the prominent storage brands that you see in any shop in the HDDs, with the two brands, the two big ones. We even signed NDAs, and we had weekly meetings at the point. But as soon as the altcoins started bleeding, those meetings disappeared. So what we have internally is a design for a storage tower that's independent of any brand. So as you see with our own Lite Plus board, this is more complicated. No, this is not Lite Plus. This is Lite. The Lite Plus, we have these M2 connections. We have a design for a board with 4 M2 connections. So that means 4 M2 SSDs that can connect to the same tower. Say each of them are 4 terabytes. So we're talking 16 terabytes in a single tower. We have the design for that, but we don't have the execution bandwidth now. Perry said, don't drop them. I'm holding them. Barely. Okay. So yes, that's another good point to bring up. The people being so frustrated. Why we're not getting XL? XL is what we got, and we're not getting XL. The appeal of XL is when we have additional towers available, right? The only time that XL becomes useful is when we have other variants of towers available. Currently, the only tower variant that we have is Lite Plus. As long as we don't have storage towers, modem towers, GPU towers, all these things that we had plans for, the utility of XL is very similar to a USB hub. So so long as we don't have the additional towers, XL is not sexy by its own. A USB hub will provide the same function of the XL. So please don't feel that XL is a huge miss. It is a huge miss when the ecosystem exists. Currently, it doesn't. Very cool. Did I get to Ehsan's update on the blockchain side? So he has also said that the validator nodes of blockchains are being spinned up, and he also mentions the FX Blocks iOS app. He says it's in the internal testing phase. And also he's talking about smart contracts on Polygon and Ethereum are published. So for testnet, smart contracts are published now with an address and everything. So they're live. There are no users onboarded on them currently, but they're live. When will the tested participants selected be announced? So it will be announced as soon as we have this latest phase, last phase of what I was talking just about from Essence update. As soon as we have the initial tests of the testnet that it works, we will start onboarding the users. And be sure that the Indiegogo backers will be in the whitelist. It's just the other people, 100,000 people signed up for it. So, and there's less than 1,000 test Indiegogo backers. So we
Yeah, in that regard, since over 100,000 people signed up, we're gonna have a second step to choose our participants. But as Kevin said, Indiegogo backers always comes first. And in total, we're gonna have 1,000 people in our incentivized testnet selected from that 100K. So there's gonna be an additional step in order to choose that 1,000 people. We're gonna send an email to those 100,000 people that sign up by the end of next week and introduce them the next step.
Kate, Wade says if you smile and he's selected for testnet, he will be more positive on Telegram. Will you spare us a smile?
Wait, I haven't even gone back on Telegram since our last. I think I say all the wrong
Since
things.
you were last bullied by
keep me wound
Wade.
So maybe I'll rejoin you guys on Telegram, Wade, if you and I can get along. You know what? I love your dedication to our community, and I'd rather have like the criticisms and the constructive feedback than not, right? So I will smile and receive your feedback gladly.
Definitely. Yeah, no, absolutely. The criticisms are what makes us just be aware of things that we may miss sometimes. A bit being more nice wouldn't hurt though, to whom it may concern.
Wait, I have one more condition. So if you figure out how to spin up a virtual Linux machine and we can help make a playbook for that and get a whole bunch of people to repurpose their Linux machines and get on board with nodes, it'll make me even happier. So see what you get up to and let's combine forces.
Perfect. All good. We are at the top of the hour. Yes, and we are all looking forward. Thank you so much, guys. We are all looking forward to receiving our devices. Hopefully it's very soon now. So hold tight and keep safe. We'll see you around. Happy, what day is today? Thursday. Great talking, guys. See you next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye, community. Thank you. Oh, we love you too, Perry.